Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome in. This is the Joe Gaither Show on SpursCentral, part of San Antonio Spurs on SI. We appreciate everybody who's watching us today on the San Antonio Spurs on SI YouTube channel or checking us out on our own social media machines at Joe Gaither 6 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or you're probably listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or on Amazon, The Joe Gaither Show on SpursCentral. We're a proud part of San Antonio Spurs on SI, and we are back for another edition and back for more expertise from Matt Guzman. We appreciate Matt Guzman joining us pretty much every week, basically keeping us on task and on time. Matt, you follow him at Matt GZman on the Twitter machine. He is working and building everything that you see on San Antonio Spurs on SI. Matt, how was your week? How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. How are you? It's been a good week. Pretty hectic, but as always, the hectic typically means that the Spurs schedule or the Spurs season is ramping up. So we love to see it. We're excited.
October is going to be here before you know it. I know in my head when we first got started, I was thinking November, but I think it was last week when I was kind of doing the write-up when I realized, oh my gosh, the season starts second week of October. So it's going to be here before we know it. So you only have a little bit of time left to relax maybe before preseason starts.
That's right. Yep. But I mean, relaxing, writing, they tend to come in the same as long as I can sit down and just listen to music and get some stuff churned out. But yeah, I mean, October is going to come by really quickly, and we know once it gets going, it's going to be around for a long while. So I'm excited for that. Absolutely.
Well, make sure you follow Matt Guzman at Matt GZman on the Twitter machine. Let's start with where we ended last week, Matt Guzman. The gold medal game. The Olympics have come and gone. Sayonara, au revoir, probably more appropriate to Paris. But the Olympics have come and gone. Victor Wembanyama and Team France once again settling for the silver medal. This will be their second silver medal in a row in men's basketball, their third overall as a country. But Team France losing to Team USA 87-98. Really no fault of Victor Wembanyama's last Saturday. Really playing a great game. But just what were your takeaways with Team USA claiming their gold medal? I think it was the 8th in a row. Is that what I saw? 8th gold medal in a row for Team USA. Coming away victorious, beating France right there in Paris.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it at the end of last week. We were kind of back and forth on whether or not Victor would be able to kind of will the team over Team USA. And I think both of us ended up saying, well, I think
no, I went the other way just for fun.
Yeah, that's right. I kind of saw it coming. Obviously, that team is very good, and there were players that stepped up that, weren't exactly household names and still probably aren't. Guys like Gershon Yabusele, and Isaiah Cordonier, those kind of players were definitely there to help out Victor. He really did have the best game of his Olympics in that gold medal game, probably why he was so emotional, because he really did put everything into it. I think the biggest takeaways were just that at the end of the day, he's a young player. He's got plenty of room to grow. He's got a big ceiling in front of him. But at the end of the day, he's facing off against some of the best NBA players in the world and guys that have been around the league plenty of times, who have won multiple championships. They know what it takes in those championship games. They've been there. They've done that. This is Victor's really his first look at a big stage final championship type performance. Obviously it wasn't a 7-game series, but they put in a lot of work, and then they had to go quite a long way to get to the gold medal game. And so for Victor to it was a good sign. I love that he was able to contribute the best that he had been all Olympic season. But at the end of the day, like I was saying, sometimes you just can't get it done, and that's okay. He doesn't need to be a gold medal winner in his first Olympics ever at 20 years old. He's still got plenty of ways to go, and that Team USA squad is kind of on the way out. A lot of those players are older, so Victor's got his time, and I'm sure his time will come. And I'm sure he knows that too. But it was good to see him ball out and kind of do his thing.
Yeah, 26 points, 7 rebounds in the final. Obviously, he didn't get the win like he wanted to in his home country, but really, you can't say anything negative, in my opinion, about Victor and his performance. He gave everything he had to Team France, and just a matter of kind of what you said, a better team as a whole in Team USA emerging victorious. And really, I think after Team USA beat Serbia, you had that kind of wild ending against Serbia. I think after they got that probably re-locked them in, refocused.
Absolutely.
For the final. So that was going to be a hard thing to do to win that. But another sign another benchmark for Victor Wembanyama that the future is basically here already.
Sure, absolutely. And, if that was the one thing that he wanted to set out to prove, he did it. And, like you said, the overall Team USA was a better squad, but that's okay. That was kind of expected, like entering, they asked LeBron at the end of the game, there's the Redeem Team, there's the Dream Team. What is this team called? He said the Avengers. And that's kind of how it felt. They pulled these stars, young and old, from all parts of the league to kind of assemble together and knock out and get a gold. And that was the expectation. So, you can't really blame or criticize Victor for not being able to defy the odds per se, because it was kind of stacked against him at the beginning.
All right, let me ask you just on the same topic, but maybe out of bounds here. Guerschon Yabusele, he has a good game in the gold medal game, 20 points for Team France. And I'm doing just a little bit of basic research and seeing, oh my gosh, this guy's already been in the NBA, played for the Boston Celtics for just a short time before going overseas. The man is only 28 years old. And I apologize if this takes you a little farther outside of your comfort zone, but what is the future? What is the Olympics? What does a strong performance in the Olympics do for a player who's playing internationally? I believe he's playing for Real Madrid at the moment, Euroliga, Real Madrid at the moment. So he's not playing at a small club overseas. Is there a opportunity? Is there a pathway for, okay, young guy, 28 years, still haven't hit 30 yet, to get back into the league based on a good performance over a 2-week span at the Olympics?
Absolutely there is, especially because he's kind of been in the league before. He was with the Celtics, I know, and he's one of those players where you see guys come into the league and whether or not maybe they're not happy with their role, maybe they don't just show exactly what the teams had hoped that they would show when they were being scouted. And they go play overseas, they go develop a little bit more, or they just take their career overseas and just stay there because they're making money to play professional basketball without all the toil and all of the hard, not hard work. Of course it's hard work over there too, but there's no extras trying to make it in the league and trying to overcome some of the politics that happen whenever you get relegated to the bench. It's definitely a different culture in the NBA. And a lot of those guys are content playing overseas. Some of them may want to make, NBA debuts, and he's tweeted out since his performance in the Olympics and the gold medal game that, he's waiting, he's ready for a second chance. And so it's not necessarily one of those where teams were looking to the Olympics to start scouting players that they might need.
Sure.
But when you have a player like Yabusele, who all season long or all Olympic season long was out playing Gobert, was being put on the floor in favor of him, who was honestly doing better than Victor in a couple of games, that's the scouts are watching the games. So, they see that, you got GMs there, you got coaches there, and they're saying, this guy can play with this NBA player here. Why can't he play with this NBA player in the United States? Somebody, I think, made a joke that Guerschon was signing a DocuSign contract with the Spurs in the locker room immediately after. And so, I just think for him specifically, there's definitely going to be a pathway that opens up. Some team is likely to be willing to give him a chance, especially if he's serious about making that commitment and coming back to the league. But yeah, I guess it's not necessarily like there's a pipeline, like these scouts go to the Olympics with that hope. But when you see these players ball out, you kind of can't help but wonder, what could he bring to my team? Or what could he bring to, this other team? And so I definitely see that there could be a future in the league for him again, especially because he's only 28. But at the same time, it can be tough. But I think he did what he can in showing out in the Olympics and playing as hard as he could.
My mind traditionally goes to the World Cup when I think about a good parallel. And
Sure.
Man, World Cup that month is a chance for those international soccer players to make a lot of money for greedy clubs. The difference is there's a lot more leagues playing professional soccer, paying big money, Europe and Germany and Spain and such. The NBA is the NBA. There's only one NBA.
Yeah.
And so maybe I didn't know if the scarcity factor of the NBA would make that not as much of an option.
It definitely would make it more difficult, because there's not all these other options. But at the same time, there's 30 teams in the league, and they've got, especially at this time of year, they have quite a few training contracts to hand out, So if they want to give this guy a shot in training camp and see where it goes, that's more power to them.
28 years old. He's played in 2 seasons for the Boston Celtics, appeared in 74 games, started in 5 of them, but that was 2017 through 2019. So it's been 4 or 5 years. So hopefully he can get another shot if that is what he's after, if that's what he's interested in. If he wants to just keep playing in Europe, then do your thing, man, ball out.
Absolutely. It can go both ways. I don't think there's a wrong answer.
Why don't we move into what you've been busy with this week? Because the Olympics ended on technically Sunday was the final days, but the men's basketball ended Saturday afternoon of last week. So your kind of responsibilities for men's basketball ended Saturday evening for the Olympics, and now you've basically turned your entire focus back to the San Antonio Spurs. It already was on the Spurs, but now it's back on the Spurs without the Olympic distraction. The NBA put out their schedule, and they said, here's our TV schedule. Obviously, a lot has been made about the NBA and its television partners breaking up with TNT, with Amazon, with ESPN, trying to spread out their market share, and we'll see kind of how that all shakes out. But we know for the 2024-25 season, the TV schedule is set. And the San Antonio Spurs got a little bit of a bump, 21 national televised games, up from last year's 19. Just another small crack, another sign that the NBA is starting to get behind the San Antonio Spurs.
Absolutely. And, you go back to 2 years ago, right before Victor was on, in the United States, the Spurs had 4 games. And before that, they had 2 games. And so, that huge jump from 4 to 19 last year was enough as it was, just because they didn't quite know who this kid was and what he was going to look like, what kind of attention he was going to receive. And, the Spurs were terrible. They really were not great. They had a lot of, it was a big development season for them with as many young pieces that they had. So this season, now that they kind of know what Victor is capable of, and these Spurs have added a few new names, they become a bigger intrigue, there's more allure to watch the Spurs this year. And as such, they were rewarded with a couple more games, most notably with a game on Christmas, like we talked about. And so, Victor is going to be one of the front and center pieces of this NBA, of this entire association. He's one of the players that people are going to tune their TVs on or turn them on to watch him, because they want to see him, break the bank. They want to see him completely, slam some dude's face. They want to see him shoot a 3 from half court after pulling up. There's so many different things that he's shown, and there's reason to be excited about his game and the way he plays it. So it makes sense that they'd want to give him even more TV games. So that's what it is. It's absolutely the Victor Wembanyama effect. And as the Spurs continue to get better, we could see them continue to creep into that top 5, top 10. You got teams like the Lakers who have 39 games on national TV. Half their schedule is nationally televised. And so
that makes you happy, right? Big Lakers guy.
That is right. I can turn on any TV half the time and it'll be there. So definitely. But it's one of those where the Spurs are making they're seeing their name among those other teams with huge stars, and they've just got Victor and a bunch of young guys right now, and obviously Chris Paul this year. But in general, it's going to be Victor and whoever they can put around him. They're still yet to crack that huge. They haven't hit the threshold of we are an elite team, we are contenders. And they're still getting a lot of attention. So it's definitely a good sign. It's definitely a sign the Spurs are making their way into the name of, like the NBA's finest. And the NBA loves it because they get more money and they can market this guy that everyone wants to be like.
When I think about Victor Wembanyama, it sends me back to when I was a child playing, what was it, NBA Jam or NBA Live or some of those early basketball games where you create a player and, I'm going to make my player 7'12", and I'm going to be 99 shooting and 99 athleticism and just all over the place. And it was always fun as a young kid to play with a character like that. But now here we are in 2024, and it's not so much of a computerized character. It's a real life. I like the word alien, but that sounds disrespectful, and I don't want to be disrespectful. A real-life unicorn, something that we haven't ever seen before. And I'm really, really excited to see what will happen this year now that he has some actual some more support, some more NBA-level support around him.
Now, you do get the pass for alien because Nike has deemed him the alien. So
okay, good. I didn't want to be like, who is this guy, yada, 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 calling him an alien. No, I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but he's like something we've never seen before.
That is, it is. It truly is. And it's funny that you mentioned the creative player. I would do that all the time. And I would enjoy dropping 80 points on the Detroit Pistons just for fun, and I'm sure my teammates in this fake game hated me because I never passed, but
we won. We always won. So y'all get them on board with the winning.
It's true. I was always player of the game, rookie of the year, all the things.
But my archetype for my creative player looks like Victor Wembanyama. As tall as it can be, max height, because I want to be in the paint, dunking and blocking everybody. Right. And then, I can shoot as well. I want to be able to pull it. Like literally, the archetype for my 12-year-old creative player is now Victor Wembanyama, and it's just
Yeah.
kind of strange to see.
Right.
It kind of breaks my own eyesight and brain to think about.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's just part of the intrigue about this, about this player is that, he's a player that we have never seen before, and he's doing things that we have never seen before. And it's not just that he's tall and it's cool and, oh, look how tall he is. He's tall and he can shoot and he can run an offense and he's doing everything that he's needed to do. Oh, and by the way, he played half the season on a minutes restriction. So even when he is a little bit hampered, he's still putting up these numbers and being a monster on defense. So, it's definitely somebody that the Spurs have hung their hat on and will continue to, and it's for a good reason.
All right, we talked about Christmas last week. So Christmas gets stricken from the record or stricken from your options. But you've got an article on San Antonio Spurs on SI right now, and we encourage everybody to go check out all the great work at San Antonio Spurs on SI from Matt Guzman. If you need to take a second, Matt, it's okay. Get yourself some water, get yourself a cough or whatever. It's no big deal. But Matt has basically written out a highlight list of these are the games that we are highlighting. These are the games that we're excited about for the Spurs season. Obviously,
Sure.
all the 21 national TV games are on there, but there's a lot of mixed in games as well. Christmas is the only one that we've really talked about. We talked about it last week. The Spurs going to Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knicks. So I want to ask Matt, what game outside of the Christmas Day games, when it came out and you were writing this article, you were like, ooh, that one is what I'm really excited. And look, it doesn't have to be limited to one, but I don't want to get all 21 games. What are maybe the 2 or 3 highlights that you thought, oh, obviously I'm going to be working and covering the team, but that night is going to be a little more special to me to cover the San Antonio Spurs?
Absolutely. I'll always be partial to my favorite game of the year this past year was Victor's birthday when he turned 20. It was against the Bucks on January 4th. By the way, I believe he's playing again on January 4th, this time against the Nuggets. So he'll have another straight game on his birthday. But, watching him go toe-to-toe with Giannis, with another player who I guess he'd been compared to quite often because of his height and his size. And, they said if Victor can fill out and gain a little bit more muscle, maybe he'd be exactly like Giannis. And so, watching them go back and forth, and obviously he met him at the rim, he blocked him. It was one of the highlights of the NBA 2K25 trailer. They had Victor blocking Giannis. So there's a couple of games against the Bucks that I'm particularly excited about, especially that first one on January 8th. Right?
I don't know if that's on my end or his. I don't know if that's on my end or his. Well, I'll just wait real quick and see what happens with Matt Guzman. But as we go down the list, obviously the all eyes turn to the Christmas Day game against the Knicks. I am personally, he's highlighting January 4th, Giannis's birthday. You've got the Denver Nuggets coming to San Antonio. And then right after that is San Antonio Spurs going to Milwaukee. So it's going to be a lot of fun this year. What I found interesting was 2 different points on the schedule. First, as we're going to remove him and see if he's going to come back in, we will, do that. Right there. First, I wanted to. I'm looking at the Paris games. San Antonio is playing Indiana, playing the Pacers in Paris over the course of 2 days. And look, I think that's a blast. I think that's really, really innovative and really fun for the NBA to be doing. We've got this international star. We're going to take him on the road so that people can see him, so that we can continue to grow the game. Obviously, this past weekend didn't go so well for Giannis Antetokounmpo in Paris, but great to have the league expanding its borders, expanding its reach, and taking really one of its fresh young stars to his home country to play 2 games. And then right after the All-Star break, and I want to ask Matt about this if we can get him back on. But right after the All-Star break, I think is a really interesting concept that Matt was telling me about before we got started. The Spurs get moody. Apparently, the San Antonio Spurs are a couple times go over to Austin to the Moody, Performing Arts Center? Austin Moody Center. Austin Moody Center. The San Antonio Spurs are playing 2 games in Austin instead of San Antonio. They're playing the Phoenix Suns and the Detroit Pistons February 20th and 21st. And look, this is I'm not an NBA expert like Matt Guzman is, but these are instances of innovation that make me excited as a sports fan. Make me see, okay, this is a league that's trying to stay ahead of the curve, ahead of the young kids, and we're trying to go to its fans. Obviously, the Spurs have the most fans in San Antonio, but obviously, but have a big fan base in Austin as well, and now have a big fan base in Paris as well. So taking the league on the road to its fans, I think, is a very, very smart, very, very interesting idea, and I'm excited about that. We will reconnect with Matt Guzman here probably next week. Probably won't have him for the rest of the show. I'm just going to pivot real quickly and hit the last topic that we had, and then we'll round it on out. We appreciate everybody who is watching us on the San Antonio Spurs on SI YouTube channel, or who's checking us out on my own social media machines. You know, things happen with live guests sometimes and with internet sometimes. It is no big deal. The only other big news point that we wanted to get into with Matt Guzman was the NBA Cup. This year, the NBA Cup is going to be November 12th through December 3, and you play the same sort of style as you did last year. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different groups. Winner of the group goes on to knockout stages. You get a little bit of a wild card scenario as well, so that you can have 2 8-team brackets. I think is what it gets out to. Excuse me, 1 8-team bracket. Wild card on each one. That's 8. Yeah. 8 teams per conference will advance. 8 teams will advance from group play into the second and final stage of the Emirates Cup 2024. The knockout rounds the 6 winners and the 2 wild cards. The wild cards will be teams from each conference with the best record in group play that finish second in its group. So this is more of another parallel with international soccer, but second year of the NBA Cup. Right? If you weren't on board last year, it's okay. We're doing it again this year. Last year, the Spurs go 0-4. They're in a group with the Sacramento Kings, Minnesota Timberwolves, Golden State Warriors, and Oklahoma City Thunder. The Kings won the group. They advanced to the knockout stage. And I believe it was the Lakers that ended up winning the whole dang thing. Right? I was just on it. Yeah, the Lakers won the whole dang thing, beating the Indiana Pacers. This year, the Spurs group is not easy either. Spurs ended up getting thrown in as the 5th seed with Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay. The Phoenix Suns. Oh, okay. The Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, okay. And the Utah Jazz. I think the Spurs got thrown into the most difficult group in the Western Conference. The other 3 groups in the Western Conference, Group A is Minnesota Timberwolves, LA Clippers, Sacramento Kings, Houston Rockets, and Portland Trailblazers. Obviously, the Timberwolves and Clippers present some sort of a formidable opponent, and the Kings took a step back last year, but are still a young and up and coming team. Group C, Denver Nuggets, Dallas Mavericks, New Orleans Pelicans, Golden State Warriors, and the Memphis Grizzlies. I think that easily stands out as the toughest group in the Western Conference. Obviously, Denver and their couple of NBA championships. Dallas went to the NBA Finals last year. Pelicans got themselves into the play-in games last year, and the Warriors are the Warriors. So I think the Spurs didn't get drawn into the toughest group. But you got a nice argument. B and C are really, really, really challenging. And so I think that's going to be a lot of fun to follow. But from a Spurs perspective, I don't know if you're going to do any better than 0-4. Maybe you go 1-3 if you're able to beat the Jazz or catch the Lakers or Suns on a bad night. I think the Thunder are going to be pretty much running away with that group. But obviously, you got to see how things play out. We're going to get out of here for the day and for the episode. We appreciate Matt Guzman for joining us. While he did, obviously, a little bit of technical difficulty, and that happens sometimes. But make sure you follow Matt Guzman at MattGZMan on the Twitter machine. Make sure you follow all of his great work, San Antonio Spurs on SI. You can follow that page on the Twitter machine at SAS on SI. You can follow me at Joe Gaither 6 on any and all social media machines. We'll get out of here for the day, and we'll be back with another edition of the Joe Gaither Show on SpursCentral and San Antonio Spurs on SI.